Hey squad, it's GooberTroy here. The concept of pay to win is something that seems to be on everyone's mind these days when it comes to new game releases, especially MMOs. But I keep seeing people complain on places like Reddit and Twitter that because Lost Ark is a Korean made game, it must have pay to win concepts or the entire game itself is pay to win. So let's explore this a little bit, and that is Lost Ark actually pay to win? To get straight to the answer, the concept of pay to win is subjective and therefore it differs between individuals, and as a result, Lost Ark is going to be considered pay to win by some people, but not by others. There are elements of pay to win within Lost Ark, yes, but it's important to take the type of content available into consideration. I'd like to expand on this a little bit more by giving my own personal definition of what pay to win is and what my experience in Lost Ark has been while playing on the Russian servers. So my definition of pay to win is anytime I can actually purchase with real money either gear or upgrades to have a very clear and obvious advantage over other players in all forms of content. That's how I define pay to win, but I would like to hear your definition in the comments below. But what do I mean by my definition? Well, in the case of PvP, if I can get the best, most upgraded gear by spending real money to obliterate other players in PvP content, I consider that pay to win. However, in Lost Ark, the most relevant forms of PvP content, which are your 3v3 arenas, all of the gear and stats are normalized. You can spend however much money you want, but you're not going to have a clear advantage over any other players. It'll always come down to player skill and just knowledge of the game. There are two forms of PvP content that I know are not normalized, and that's your open world PvP and your guild versus guild PvP. But those are not the normal forms of content that people tend to go for, because the ranked ladder is in the 3v3 arenas, which again are normalized gear, and therefore you won't be able to buy your advantages or anything. The other thing I would like to know about those 3v3 arenas is you can enter them at level 26. That's just how it goes to show how the scaling actually works. So level 26 players can go off against level 50 to 55 players, and it doesn't matter. Like everyone's gear is equal. As for PvE content, I would consider something pay to win if you can visibly see another player who has swiped mom's credit card smashing the DPS meters and trivializing bosses due to their raw damage output. But there's one thing with a lot of MMO raid bosses, and these bosses at the highest level require a lot of fight knowledge. There's gear score doesn't really play into your fight knowledge. If you're just buying your gear and just going to jump into a fight without any prior experience, you're probably going to get obliterated and wipe the rest of your group, even if you have the highest gear score. Yes, sometimes you can brute force your way through some of the lower difficulty bosses, but at some point you're going to hit a wall that requires every player in your group to learn the fight mechanics. You might be able to spend the money to acquire the gear, but until you actually learn the fight, you're not paying to win anything. As for the visual aspect with damage meters, Lost Ark doesn't have them. Therefore, you're not going to be able to just flex on anyone in your group saying, like, look at how much damage I'm doing over this person or that person. They just don't exist. There is an MVP title at the end of a boss, but that's like the only thing that you'll really be able to use to flex on other people. It's not really that relevant though, like it's, because other characters support each other in different ways and they might not get MVP. So really the MVP is just, kind of who got luckier and was able to avoid some of the fight mechanics. But lastly, some of the raids and some of the more relevant raids at that in Lost Ark are normalized as well as in PvP. Meaning your gear is not really going to be relevant because everyone is going to get scaled to the same point. I'm aware that some definitions of pay to win are anytime there's a cash shop available which introduces some sort of resource to power up your character. If that's the case, then almost every game out there, especially MMOs, have some sort of resource to power up your character, and Lost Ark is one of them. You can buy upgrade materials in Lost Ark to speed up your upgrade timing a little bit, but the increase provided isn't really that insane. Most of the power in Lost Ark comes from your engravings and your skill points that you'll acquire as you level up. This is just received by playing the game. It's not really anything tied to your gear, it's just something you get rewarded with as you progress through the game. If you define pay to win as just some way to spend money to clear content or receive a certain achievement slash title, then I hate to break it to you, but almost every single competitive game out there has some sort of pay to win. If we use World of Warcraft as an example, you can simply buy raid carries. Like literally you can just buy the highest PvE title there is out in that form of content. Now, if you want a certain rank, you can just buy boosted accounts. Like look at League of Legends. There's always the potential of, people throwing around like, oh, this guy's boosted and stuff like that. But that is an actual thing people do. People will buy specifically ranked accounts, usually around like diamond and stuff like that. So you are able to buy a certain rank and like kind of prestige, but you're not really at that level. If you play, you will lose. The point I'm trying to make here is a lot of games will have different forms of real money spending to either acquire prestige or clear content. But those types of games aren't usually the first ones that come to mind when people think of pay to win. Now, in conclusion, I realize that my definition is probably different from yours or just a lot of people in general, but I think there is a huge overstatement of the amount of pay to win available in Lost Ark. These claims are made from some people who just see that it's a Korean-made game and therefore just assume that it has pay to win aspects in the game. These people making these claims might not actually understand that the content available, how it actually plays out in the context of the game and the actual pay to win resources that they see on the cash shop. But these are just the opinions of one man who wants Lost Ark to succeed. If you found this type of content helpful or insightful, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, as it helps a lot. And I will be releasing a lot more Lost Ark content in the future, covering various PvP guides, PvE guides, builds, and much more. But I'm GooberTroy from Squad Up Games saying thanks for watching, and remember to squad up and have fun.